Hi, now with this video I want to share with you the methods I've used to retain the original headlight. This is a 1936 Ford with the original glass lens, but what I want to really do in this video is show you what I've done to keep and use the original reflector inside the bucket, right? I've done away with the 6-volt globe, and I'll show you how I modify it to accept a halogen globe of 12 volts, right? So have a look at this. Is an easier way of doing it, right? I think it's more cost efficient too. You can surely go out and buy them aftermarket from, say, Bob Drake's, for example, but I'm going to show you here why I prefer the original reflectors themselves.
Here's some reproduction reflectors that take the 12-volt halogen globes. These are made by Bob Drake. Probably pick them up for about $100, but they've got no parking lights in them. This is what we're going to be talking about. The original 36s on the left, they're the frog's eye lenses with the 35 model on the right. So we're going to be converting these to 12-volt halogens. These lights here are actually 1940 one-ton army truck, very similar to the 1935s. But these are the original buckets out of a 36 headlight. I purchased these off eBay, and because they're so thin and flimsy, you've got to be careful with them. One of these was already cracked, so I purchased another one. So these two here, if someone's painted them white, but they'll come off with paint stripper before we get them chrome. But this is what I want to talk about. They take the indicator and parker lights, right? So you can choose what you want to make them into. But that's why I choose these. Now these are just typical examples out of some cars. That's an old Daewoo. These have got the steel buckets behind them. That's got the dust cover on, and there's with the dust cover off it. What we want to do is make sure they are actual tin buckets. So we can't do this with any plastic versions. Right, these are just, I picked them up very cheap from a wreckers. Right, so they've all got the tin. You can hear the difference with them. As long as they've got the clips and that on the back. Right, I'm going to cut them out. Just make sure when you pick up these lights, you get everything with them. Right, alright, you can buy new globes, but it's the clips we actually need. We've got to make sure we get them. Right, and they also come with a dust cover. So try and get the lot, and if you can get the plug that goes into them, with a bit of the length of the wiring too, and in some cases they may connect to the indicator as well, which might be just below it. So try and get the lot from the actual donor car. This is what we want to convert into our 1936 or any hot rod headlights for that. You can do this on all of them. This is why I'm choosing to do this on these, because I will be converting my parking lights into them. With the Bob Drake version, they don't have this. All we do here is just find anything to scribe a line around it. Make sure it's central, and from there we cut them out. Now I use a very fine cutting disc, a 1mm. It's very lightweight metal, so it's not hard to do at all. Just try and cut a straight line as much as you can. And pretty much there you have it. With the rest of the buckets, pretty much we just throw them away of the donor bucket. This is the idea. This is what we're actually going to do. Graft that onto the back of the original bucket. What we've got to do first is to remove any paint. Clean the burrs off them. Get any sharp edges down so it's just smooth. And the same goes for this, the actual buckets. We've got to take the original coating off, take it back down to the original brass. Now I'm not using a grinding stone, I'm just using like a polishing pad, which is taking it off. it's not an actual grinding stone at all, so it's not actually making any coarse grooves into the actual bucket. These are very lightweight as they are. Be very careful doing this. You can see here, just the wind from the grinder pulls it away out of your hand, so just be very careful with it, because you don't want to break them. They're hard enough to find as they are, but generally you can pick these up on eBay. Just you can see that, just the wind. So just be careful you don't drop it over the edge of your workbench. There it is, cleaned up back to the original brass, and all I've got to do now is clean inside that, so I've got raw surfaces on both contacts. Now I'm just using it to give it a bit of some bite. I'm using a stone grinder, which is taking the chrome edging off, but I ended up continuing to use that. It was a bit more kinder to it. Didn't put as deep grooves. Now obviously the halogen is not going to fit through the original 6-volt hole, so we've got to trim that out to suit. Again, I use my 1mm cutting disc. Now make sure you wear gloves at all times. Nothing worse than actually slipping. Now it's got a little lip on that, a little edge. I cut it above that little lip. That just sort of helps maintain strength on the actual edge. Just try and cut above it. Very easily done being brass. It doesn't take much effort at all. Okay, so it's going to leave some rough edges, but the easy part about that is you just pretty much clean it up with a rat tail file. Now, you could use a die grinder for this, but I just think it's too, you don't want to risk anything damaging, so I thought just do it by hand with a rat tail file is just as good as any. Clean any remaining burrs off again with a little polishing wheel I've got. It just gives it a neat, clean finish. Look at that. Made like it. Like I bought one. Right, we've got to make sure these globes are fitted in the right way. Alright, so just mount that in that properly, in its proper position, put the clip on the back of it. Because obviously you've got a top, which came out, it's obviously got to go in the same way it came out of that donor light. So that line across the bottom indicates that's the bottom, alright? So on these, it's up to yourself where you want it, whether you want your reflector top or bottom, but generally they go on the top in the 36 models. So I'll be mounting it in that way. And just make sure when we solder it together, it is correct. You don't want to be quite a few degrees out. Now this is just a flame. Generally what we would have in our science room. It's generally like a Bunsen burner. Now I want you to watch this, because this is where you could get a little aggro if it doesn't seem to be working for you. I'm just heating the end of the lead there, lead stick up. Now I'm applying it straight to the brass. Now the idea of this is to run the lead all the way around this. But for the moment, I'm just showing you what mistakes we can make. This is where some people might get a little frustrated if they haven't done any soldering that before. Now notice I just put the lead straight to the brass. Now I'm putting some what we would call flux. Now notice it's knocked the lead off because I didn't put any flux, or what we call this is spirits of salt. put that on first. Now make sure you do the lid up again. You don't want to knock that over because it will burn. Now with spirits of salts or flux on it, we'll attempt to put the lead on it again, and the lead will melt and it will be adhered to the actual brass. With the texture of the brass being roughed up with the pads, this is going to stick to it. Now put spirits of salts in the halogen adapter too. Now we're going to heat the two up together and melt the lead underneath. But make sure we get it in the position we want it and make sure it's central. All we do is heat the outside of the adapter. Don't have to get it glowing red, of course, but you'll get it hot enough till the lead underneath melts and starts oozing out the side. You don't have to get it glowing red at all. Remember, they're only thin material. But just enough, once you see the lead starting to melt, work your way all the way around and trying to keep your steady hand holding it in position because it will move at this stage. Once you think you've gone all the way around and you know it's melted all the way around, let it cool down and maintain it in that position. Now just to clean it up on the outer edges, I'll heat it up again, but only on those edges. But I'll clean the excess off with a wire brush. Now you notice I'm not putting the heat on the actual adapter, just on that actual edge, because I don't want to really heat it up again. So I'm just getting off the excess. And once I've done the wire brush, then I'll heat it up again lightly and wipe it off with a rag. This smooths it out, so when you're going to get this thing chrome plated, it gives it a smoother finish. Now I did this years ago on my 1936 sedan back in 2006, and today, even though I don't own the car anymore, they still work a treat. There they are completed. All fitted up with the brackets. Just as I said, remember to make sure you do get the dust covers as well. And there you have it. This took 1.5 hours to do.
Well, that completes these. I've got two reflectors with halogen lights in them now, right? All I need now is straight to the chrome platers. They can finish them off for me. So I hope that's helped with your project. All the best. I'm Dave Ailey.